He was living under an alias, tending bar. And then Abby Hoffman, he top 10 wanted from the Chicago 7 scene. He was living under an alias and waiting tables at a bar there. And Bob Dylan was living there. And Dennis Hopper was making Easy Rider there. And I thought, this is an interesting place.
We're in. Welcome back to Real Dopes, everybody. Welcome back to episode 3. We're keeping it strong. Some of you like to watch, and we're here.
Doesn't matter if you want to watch. We want to make it. So
exactly.
We'll be here whether you are or not.
Yeah, this makes us happy. But what's up, everyone? So we got a good show for you guys today. As always, I'm George, coming to you live from LA. Ian's coming to you guys from New York. We're going to talk a little bit about what we've been up to and what we've been working on. And then we'll have our guest join in a little bit. And then, as always, we'll wrap things up with a little Connie's Corner, where this week we're going to talk about the farewell.
Dude, I'm so excited. All right, so today our guest is going to be Consi Althouse. She is I'm pretty sure, award-winning documentary DP, like someone who's really cut her teeth in documentary. And her fucking dad is gonna be on with us today. Her dad is a union, or used to be a union electric, and he was on Spider-Man 2 and fucking No Country for Old Men and shit. And they are driving from New Mexico, where they're from, to Texas to see the solar eclipse. So we're gonna grab them in the car and talk shit with them. It's gonna be fun.
Yep. No, I like this. It's gonna be an interesting one. Little road trip episode.
Dude, I'm so excited. I'm so hyped about the fucking eclipse. I love eclipses, dude. Did you see the last one in 2017?
Yeah. I mean, let's say this. This one's hyped up 1,000 times more for sure. But I remember the last one was like so talked about, where I even had the glasses, and like I was working in an office at the time, because was that 2017 or 18? I was still kind of like baby, in a way out here, and everyone walked out to go watch it.
Yeah. Dude, I had the 2017 eclipse on my calendar from high school. Like in 2010, I found out about it in physics class and was like, put it on my calendar. And then me, Alexa, and Mark and Amy all went to Nashville.
Shout out Amy!
Yeah, Amy in the other room. Went to fucking Nashville and crashed on some friends' couches and made a little short during the
That's
eclipse.
your thing, man. Do you remember? Because we did that, and not for an eclipse, but I'm saying I remember there was a weekend where me, and our friend Tyler, it was your idea. It was just like, we should just go to Nashville this weekend. And it was literally like when you were getting off your part-time restaurant job, we were in my car waiting, and then we just went.
Oh, I remember that. We left Landmark, and then we took your car, right?
We took my car, and by the time we left, there was something like 5-6 p.m. Philly on a Friday, and we were like, all right, we'll just get back before one of you had work Monday night, and I think we all just didn't have class or didn't care because it was like senior year. We just were like, we're going to Nashville from Philly. Let's go.
Yeah, I think there was maybe something going on in Nashville. Maybe like someone was having a party.
One of you had a friend who's...
I had a lot of friends that lived in Nashville. Like I had a squad, but I think that maybe there was a show or something. I don't know.
But we didn't do anything
to be there.
Yeah, like we didn't do anything that like stood out. It was more of just like, we're going.
No, we rolled up. We got there at like fucking like late morning, early afternoon, or like really late at night. And then we were planning on like waking up and drinking and having a whole day, and we just fucking slept through the whole day. Like we got there and slept one whole day.
Dude, if I remember correctly, we did a lot of fun things as the weekend progressed, but I think the start of the weekend I remember in my head is it's something like 1:00 on Saturday. And I think we all were like, yeah, we'll go into their backyard and just play basketball. This is how we'll, wake up.
I remember playing basketball. And then I remember like playing basketball. I remember like going to get food and getting like drinks at when we got food, coming back and falling the fuck asleep, waking up when we were supposed to get up and go do something.
Yeah.
And being like all of us were like puffy eyed and like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
We just all got back in bed without really saying anything. And dude, I forgot we did that. And Dude, road trip time, man. Eclipse is a good time for road trips,
yeah,
dude.
road trips are good. So we're gonna get into those in a little bit with Conci. But I like that you're saying eclipse because there's all the little hoopla of the end of the world with this eclipse, right? Like what's gonna happen before and after. So speaking of which, how are you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
No, I mean, how are you doing now that you've experienced an earthquake? Welcome to the club.
Oh yeah, the fucking crazy right-wing people are like these unpredictable events. Like even though we know how many solar eclipses there are going to be for the next 1,000 years.
Yeah, but that's irrelevant.
Right, so,
but no. What's important here? That history is irrelevant. Science is irrelevant. This is what matters.
It's just what
feeling. Matters is on April 8th is the eclipse, right? But the other day, a 4.8 earthquake happened in a city called Lebanon, New Jersey. That's it. The world's ending. There's nothing. That's it. If you tell me I'm wrong, you're wrong.
Oh my God. Is that what people are saying? The fact that it's 4.8 and shit? Like
4.8 in Lebanon. And I actually looked this up that it's like, well, clearly Lebanon's mentioned in biblical times and this and that. So therefore it's all coming together.
Oh, dude.
So, yeah. So
the human mind, finding something to worship, something to fear. All you need in life is something to worship and something to fear. And the more you have of both, the better you are.
Yeah. So I think this is great, right? So like a big part of our show is kind of like for the pros and the cons, LA versus New York, right? And this is great because you're finally part of the club. You guys are freaking out. We're like, what you guys had is the normal one we'll feel. And ours will go on for minutes long rumble type of thing, And you guys, so.
Yeah, it was like probably 10 seconds of like wobbling. And I was like, this is I was like, this is crazy. Cause I'm from the fucking South too. Like I've never felt, I'm not asking for that violin, you piece of shit. Dude, this shit was cool. And then what's funny is that I like felt it. I went into the other room and was like, Amy, did you feel that? And she was like, yeah. Cause like when you feel it, it feels like it felt like it was just my room. It honestly felt like it was just this room shaking independently, even though it was like, dude, when it came, I could hear like when you've had earthquakes, could you hear like rumbling? Like, you can kind of
hear things. So it's like it's almost multi-layered in a way because it's like sometimes you're like, do I hear it coming like in a millisecond? You know what I mean? Like what was that? Oh, that's what I'm starting to hear. Sometimes it's the way the walls and things sound are just a sound you're not used to. And then there is sometimes almost like a supernatural type of sound where it almost is like, am I hearing the earth? Because the way the rumble kind of sounds just sounds so surreal.
Dude, what I heard was like a pulsing drone. It was like,
that's a good,
It was like, it like came, it was like, and it was like, I could feel that like a little subtle like foot vibration, and I felt like it was coming. In my mind, it's like the fucking like I don't know if it was the pipes or if it was just all these buildings rubbing against each other. And like
I think
bop, 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 bop.
I think that's what I mean.
Cool, like
yeah.
Dude, and like fucking 1 minute after, I was sitting in the front room, and fucking I heard sirens from 3 different directions. I was like, did shit fall? The thing that I was worried about was like, did shit fall off buildings? Because any old city, like anything with buildings from 1900, like my building was built in 1907. I almost said '07, like it was 1907. It's been renovated and shit, but like shit just falls off these buildings. Like all the floors are like angled towards the middle.
Yeah.
Like,
so I guess now the question is, are you ready for next time? When the next one happens, 50 years from now, are you prepared? Do you have an earthquake kit?
Oh, I'll be ready.
Because
I'll sit in the same.
You should kind of have like a bag ready to go. You should have an earthquake kit. So I mean, and there's a lot of things you can have in here.
Wait, I'm getting mine together.
Like you could start with essentials, and for those listening, as Ian prepares, it's like, of course, you start out with the basic things, right? Like a lot of people are gonna tell you those instant meals, like a military, and that's probably good. But in the doomsday scenario, just eat some cold soup. This lasts a couple of years. Have some granola or crackers. Of course, stock up on some waters. Not gonna focus on your your filtered stuff. Just be ready to go. You never know.
Oh, I can feel it coming.
Always go to like a CVS and get an obnoxious, kit for, Band-Aids and stuff.
Okay. I've got first aid.
You already you have the next thing I was gonna say. Like in some sort of way, have a little flashlight. Also makes for fun little stories. Yeah, look, we're coming. It's all
for when the world comes to an end.
I mean, you need to have some sort of there you go.
I've got a mobile printer too, and a neck pillow. I've got some Virginia Slims.
So there we go. So now that we've covered the true essentials, then you can start leaning towards the survival part, right? Like you're gonna need something like a quick to go heat based tent, or maybe ready to go blankets. And sometimes you never know if you're gonna be alone or not. More than one of everything's good. These are like 2 to 4 packs.
Good. You could woo a mate in the end times with your warm tent.
And then speaking of woo, it's like you probably packed wine, or let's say you didn't, right? Everyone loves some coffee, so be ready to make some campfire coffee,
And then you need a golden idol to pray to.
Well, in this case, the golden idol, you're gonna want to have access. Oh, that's a good one. We'll put that alongside
what
this.
Is that?
These things are so you could charge your electronics and still be on TikTok because you don't know where to go, but you have to see where the others are going.
Is this actually did you put this together do you have a fucking earthquake kit?
You're from New York. I'm telling you what you have to do. I'm helping out the community.
Oh my God. Wait, that's your actual earthquake kit.
I mean, and you can keep going. And then also there's like the little things, right? Like, let's be real. It's almost like COVID, right? Now you're trying to get away in a car. You don't know what to do. The earthquake happened. You're stuck with a person for a while. It's going to get a little stinky. So, bring the little essentials just in case. Because, COVID showed a lot of people you're going to break up. Things are going to happen. I didn't know this thing about this person. At least make it smell good in the car while you're listening to Blink 182 or Olivia Rodrigo, whatever is your good apocalyptic music. That's all I'm gonna say.
Dude, I got my driver's license and I drove by your house and you weren't there.
Yeah, so good for you.
Oh.
So I mean, we could keep going. This bag is probably this bag probably weighs more than my suitcase at the airport. But you gotta be ready. That's the message here. New York wasn't ready, and now they have to rebuild.
I can't believe you actually just like wait. Does everyone have one of those?
What are you saying? LA is built on like several faults.
Yeah, I know. It's just like whenever I talk with you or anyone about the fact that like LA is falling apart and like burning, everyone's just kind of like, yeah, like I like it here though. And
do you see? I'm not gonna pull that bag out every time there's a 2 a.m. earthquake, but you have to. Yeah, I know, but
it doesn't sound like anyone is like mentally ready for it to fall apart. But I guess you fucking are.
It's not about being mentally ready. It's about being prepared when you have to take action, Ian.
No, I know, but that's
New York
the
isn't
same
ready.
Thing. I just can't believe that people in LA actually acknowledge that they need an emergency kit. I think that's what I'm surprised about. Is that like it's the apparent danger is real enough for you to have a backpack full of shit.
Just note to everyone, this man's talking about how buildings are just falling apart from 1907. He's like, I didn't even think people worried about these kind of things.
Well, dude, I'm from fucking Katrina land, man. How we prepare for shit is you wait until last minute, you go buy a bunch of gas and you get drunk. And if you die, you die.
But that's like number one on the list. I'm just not gonna come and pull out all my like bottles right now for y'all, But that's a given.
Yeah, I've never had a backpack. I don't know. I guess maybe.
And then there's like, don't even get me started on the other essentials.
That's the difference. That's the difference. Condoms.
I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, brushing your teeth's the least of the worries at this point, also. So get rid of that one. But also, in your car, I know most of you New Yorkers don't even know what a car is anymore, but. In the back of your car, you have a cone, you have the compressor that plugs into that volt in the front of your car, so you can just, if anything happens with your tires, it also provides some power. You just gotta keep moving.
Yeah. Just keep them pumped. You got a patch kit. You got a fucking Snow. You got snow.
I have no
tires,
parking
you got-
signs and all those kind of things that I just steal throughout my life and keep them back there for this moment.
You got handicap parking permits in case you need to run into Sam's Club to get some like fucking toilet paper. Or
I mean,
something.
everyone should be. You should always have
Everyone
one of
should be
those. You
handicapped.
should just not use them regularly because that's probably illegal. But you should have one because when the world's ending, it doesn't matter. And the world's ending on April 8th, apparently.
Oh my fucking god, George!
But-
At least I'm happy to hear that you are complimenting. You're coming to terms with your city's mortality and the fact that like I guess the difference between hurricanes and fucking earthquakes is that like no one knew this one that earth. I guess they just happen. Like I guess the big ones people can just tell, but like they come out of nowhere, huh?
I mean, it's not like we have warning either. We have all these apps that don't even go off after the earthquake happened.
No, I know exactly. It's like someone's got to be like. It's like they have all these scales, but like I don't know. They can't tell anything if nothing's happening. Like,
Yeah.
and
It's just-
with all those fault lines. It's like I'm sure there's constantly shit shaking.
It's just as someone who, grew up in Jersey, I'm just looking out for New York,
Thanks. Well, I appreciate the advice. I feel much safer now that I have seen an example of how to be safe
Yeah,
in
just-
event of a earthquake,
Yeah.
hurricane.
I'm just doing my part. On that note, let's get into a little bit of our work recap, huh?
Okay, cool.
So what's up? What you been working on this week?
All right, so I got a little weird, a weird like. It's weird in form. So it's this. We're doing a 1-day shoot with 2 days prep in a studio, and it's we're shooting an asset like that is like a dramatic. It's like a reimagining of this trauma that this director went through, and we're doing this 1-day shoot for her to project these images over a one-woman play she's doing about being sexually abused as like a fucking young child. And she's also doing a feature documentary about the making of the play. So we're shooting this one asset, but the documentary crew is going to be there filming us getting ready and shit. And then, that's it. Other than that, it's a normal shoot, but explaining it to people, it's also called post-mortem.
Okay.
I totally thought post-mortem was spelled with a U at the end, but apparently it has an E. More
Oh, like DEM.
TEM.
Okay, like
More
not
tem.
not more dumb, but I
thought,
could see that. Yeah, weird.
Thought it was more tum, yeah. More tum.
Yeah.
But it's cool, and I get to, dude. I'm fucking working with my work wife Tiffany. They're fucking.
Hello, Tiffany.
I love Tiffany. They're working at a day job right now, but Tiffany's ADing. And,
Nice.
I'm coordinating on this one.
Nice.
So. And then
We got to get
also,
her
I'm
on here
bidding-
one day. Side note.
No,
right?
100%.
We'll get a little AD discussion going. That will entertain everyone.
yeah. Tiffany's into it. Tiffany's done so much, dude. Tiffany's like older than us and has lived like 4 fucking lives, dude. From Queens or Queens, got married young, moved to Japan for like either a year or 2 with her husband, and kept his last name. So now they're a black feminine presenting person with the last name Nakamura. So whenever she walks into a room, like everyone's like, "Who? Wait, what? You're Nakamura?"
Nice.
But so cool. And she
Yeah.
used to work in reality TV, and she used to run this like law like investment companies, fucking video things, all this shit.
Nice.
She lived in
Well-
LA for a little bit.
Well, that's a little teaser for Tiffany. That's basically your shout out, Tiff. You're coming on here soon. But
Yeah, you gotta get it. We'll get it a day. And then I'm bidding on something for a couple weeks from now. So hopefully that comes
nice.
through.
So two
What about you?
questions. Two questions.
Yes.
So one, so you said post mortem. Do you know anything about where and when the play's happening?
It's gonna be happening in the city. I'm not sure how long the run is, but it's gonna happen. I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
But I think it's later this year. I think it might be a summer run.
Nice. And then the other thing I was gonna say was, are you able to say anything about what you're bidding on? Or it's more of a stay tuned.
Oh, it's no, it's tiny. It's a thing for Malibu Rum. Well, not directly. It's for the PR company that is doing socials for Malibu. They just, I don't know if it's a new product or what, but they have a couple partnerships going with like a hotel, some talent that I don't really know any details on. But some people that I just worked with at Away, the suitcase company, Away laid off a bunch of people like a month ago, and now I'm working with the people that got laid off, and they're freelance creative directing and trying to get this thing together. Yeah, but apparently they're not competing for it, so I'm just helping them pull it together. So
all right,
hopefully,
unfortunate, for those that are laid off, but I will say I have one of those bags. They are pretty good bags.
Well, yeah, they're pretty good. They make great bags, and they started with that like battery stuff in there. Apparently, they don't even do that anymore. They don't put the batteries in.
Because it's really not like we have everything else. You know how many times I'm always stopped at the airport? Like, is it in there? I was like, I don't even have it with me. Like
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's I'll open up this little flap. It's like that thing is lost in my apartment somewhere.
Yeah, I used to keep up with them, but now like I'm about to have to. I got a new phone last year, so I haven't needed one, but I'm about to get in. Like my phone, the battery's getting worse and worse, so I'm getting to where I need.
Yeah.
But dude, before this, I used to go through like 2 of those battery packs a fucking year, like just working and traveling and stuff. So annoying.
I just ordered a new one recently for work. Just I like for just phone, like the magnetic kind. I love having that on set, so it's like I don't have to as long as you remember to charge it at night, it's like then you're set for the day.
Yeah, that thing's great. They do get hot in your pocket, but it's great. I had 2 of the Apple ones and I lost both of them.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. I think it's called Mophie. I like one that I like theirs.
Mophie's cool. Anker makes a good one from what I heard too. They make like a thicker one and it's got like a stand on it or something.
But I'd swear by that. Anyone who works in our industry, like I don't know, I swear by the Mophie ones. They have different sizes and different like magnetic clasps, but it's like
oh shit.
It
I'll
lasts.
Look into the
It'll last. Like I'll go like with the lower one for price, and it's still like that'll last me all day because you don't need it right away. But I'll probably throw it on and off throughout the day, starting like 2-3 hours into our 12+ hour day, and I'm good. I'm good to go.
That's cool. The Mophie used to make those cases with the battery packs built in. I had like 1 or 2 of those.
Oh, that was them? I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, Mophie started that, and then like I think they either stopped making them whenever we got rid of the home button because the cases just didn't fit as good.
Yeah.
And now like some company called Casely or something has I don't know, but I don't know. I looked into it a while ago.
I don't know, T.
Oh, but dude, fucking, what a week. How about you? Any prospects? Any new shit?
Yeah. So I'm gonna have a day on Tuesday. That's gonna be fun.
Fuck yeah.
It's funny. I slightly forgot about it in the sense of like a friend thankfully hit me up, a couple of weeks or a month back with some dates for coming up, starting with this one being the first one for their show. And it's like, and then someone a day or 2 ago was basically just like, hell yeah, reunion. And I was like, reunion for what? And then they sent me like the list of everyone on their show. And I was like, oh, right, that's coming up. Like I'm actually working.
You're like, I forgot I signed up for this.
Yeah. So that's going to be good. I mean, I can't say too much because again, it's one of those new shows, which is, it's interesting how some new shows are actually happening when it's so slow, but it'll be fun. Nice location day. I think it's something like 200 backgrounds. So,
holy shit! Like, it's location, so it's not a lot. Are y'all gonna be like? Do you know if you're gonna be like closing down a street or anything, or is it?
I mean, those type of numbers are pretty normal for us when it comes to things like that. I mean, the street closure thing always kind of depends on where we are. I don't know specifically yet. But
do you think
it's more of like
exterior? When you have 200 people, is that usually inside or outside, or is it?
It varies. It varies. Like like we've made downtown LA outside look like New York just as much as we've packed the whatever building.
Yeah.
But so I was gonna say the whole like road closure thing really depends. it's not so much for like equipment, but it'll happen if it's needed as part of the shoot. And most of the time we don't even necessarily lock down the whole thing. It's like ITC, like, all right, lock it up. We got our 2 minutes or whatever. I think it's 2 minutes if I'm remembering correctly. You know, like up to before they're like, we should release traffic. That kind of thing.
Yeah, especially if it's busy and shit.
Yeah, because and usually that means like, yeah, someone's going into the road or something with a car or stunts. Like it happens more so when it involves the road, or if we know camera has to be in the road based on discussion beforehand. Like it's always like planned ahead. But a full road closure doesn't happen as often as you would think. But it's more just because it's not needed.
Because last time I did a shoot in LA, I was introduced to ITC, and I was like, oh, that. I wish that that language exists here, but like locations is much less formal here because it's so much more packed. Like unless you got like Haddad trucks, you can kind of get away with a lot. Like you don't really need to go super formal, right? Especially if you're in neighborhood streets in Brooklyn or something, you just kind of do it how you want to.
Yeah. When you say Haddad trucks, are you talking about a transport company out there?
Yeah, Haddad is like the big, like they're union, like they're the main vendor for like big Jenny trucks and like union big show transport stuff.
Nice. No, I just say that because it's just funny to me because I know people with that last name here, and I've always heard stories because everyone jokes like, I've heard this one, this, and there. So for me thinking like, oh, you're talking about that one, it's like all these people do or don't know each other, but it's all the same.
Yeah. Like, it's all once you get big enough, like it's all they all touch. Like it's just like fucking the company that owns all the cereal owns all the fucking breakfast. But it's like I don't know. It's like everything gets so big, it all touches.
Yeah, but just for the quick summary for those who are a little confused with the ITC thing, basically for a lot of our shoots, we have designated police officers who come on for the day when it comes to those type of things. So it's not that we're sending the PAs to lock up the road. PAs got to still do their thing with helping out with like, pedestrians passing by and so on in the background. But cops kind of like do their thing. Also be nice to them, be friends with them. Everyone comes in like, or not everyone, but a lot of people will come in just thinking like they're just here, like whatever. It's like, they're here to help us and they're here all day just as much as us. It's like, so like be friends with them. You give them a walkie. Whoever is the one in charge kind of like, splits up his guys, for the two ends of the road. And as long as you have it all good to go, you have your point person to talk to, they'll lock it up when we ask and we keep things moving.
And ITC stands for intermittent traffic control. It's so that you can take up some of the street without having to claim it all as yours. Because when you close down a street, you fuck with the grid, you fuck with people's getting to work, and like no matter where you are, even if everyone's used to it, people get mad and you disrupt things. So ITC is a way of like, if you really don't need to do explosions and shit, or like you don't need to take over a whole road, you just it's a way for you to get what you need without fucking everything up.
Yeah. And it's probably so different for you, obviously, that form of a city with New York, because it's like, obviously, it'll piss people off, like if they're trying to get to work or something in LA, but everyone knows this town is for this. So it's like, I feel like everyone keeps their frustration to themselves, whereas like New York's going to let you know, like, you're closing down my road.
Yeah, well, with New York, it depends, because in New York, it's there's always fucking something wrong. Like there's always like you're never driving as fast and you're never like going quite as far, but like there's always construction, something's always falling over, like there's always jackhammers, there's always holes in the road. So like people are pretty used to being disrupted, but like when a road is fucking closed and you can't go down it at all, that's when you fucking get an earful, is when like someone's like, I need to go 1 block this way and you're not letting me, and now I'm gonna have to spend 30 minutes doing a fucking big ass jug handle to get back. Because in Manhattan, dude, like sometimes you'll get, especially in like midtown, like in the 50s, like, or like down like at like 24th Street, 23rd, like certain areas you get on a one way, and depending on which direction you need to go, if you need to turn left, you need to like literally get off that street, take a right down here, get on a one-way going this way, drive 2 more long blocks so you can get on a street that crosses, and then you've got to get on a thing, and you've got to do like a big giant. It's a nightmare. So like ITC is just a good way to fucking avoid fucking everything up.
It's the closest we're gonna get to the compromise. Like everyone's in on this.
Yeah. And that's like the realm where people are, fine with, waiting a little bit is fine,
Yeah. But cool. I mean, sounds like all things said, things are starting to pick up a little bit for us, I mean, a little knock on wood,
Yeah,
but I think
I'm nervous, but it does, the fact that like, I just got this job like on fucking Tuesday. I picked it up Tuesday and was working Wednesday. And I I need to talk with the PM because I've definitely worked more days than I was memoed out.
oh boy.
But it doesn't seem like it's gonna be an issue. And then this fucking little Malibu thing just came out of nowhere. So it's like, it's been such a weird 2 years that I'm like trying not to get my hopes up, but it does feel nice.
I feel you,
And
man.
it's got to feel good for you to start like getting some traffic, even though shit's not like locking in. At least you've got like
something.
the water's flowing again.
Yeah. But yeah. All right, so let's change things up, I guess, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So let's take a little break, and then we'll be right back with Connie for Connie's Corner.
Welcome back, Connie. I'm
Hey.
glad to see your family's with you.
Yes.
Thank you so fucking much for asking us to watch The Farewell. I forgot how much I love this movie. Like seeing this movie back when it came out, I was like overwhelmed by it, and then watching it this time, I saw so much shit that I didn't recognize or register, like in the way it was shot and like all these little moments. It's such a special movie. I fucking love it.
What about you, George? What are your thoughts?
I guess we're diving right into it, huh? I mean, no, this movie is great. Last episode, you said something about like it's gonna be nice to change things up. We'll just do, no subtitle American movie, and then
I didn't realize.
Yeah, I forgot that it was mostly in Mandarin too, because you were like, yeah, this isn't subtitles, right? And I was like, nah, it's American movie.
Yeah.
Fucking subtitles.
yeah, but but in real talk, no, I think this movie is awesome. So like,
Yeah.
it's weird. I never go out of my way to recommend or even think about the more like family oriented or like intending to be emotional like slow movies, but I love those types of shits when like you really break it down. And it's like in this one, I think is really good. It's like they took an actress who doesn't ever do these type of roles, which always is great, and they made a whole thing like relatable on top of the subtitle level, and they just let it be itself. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, what drew me to it just off the small little description, and George a little bit as well, just from where we grew up. But I definitely spent a lot of time in Asian households growing up, and you don't really. It's always something like, "Oh, crazy rich Asians," like da da da. It's like I was like, "Oh, this seems like a really normal like picture of like the Chinese American experience a little bit." And also, more importantly, what I realize you don't see a lot of, which is crazy because everybody around the world goes through this, yet there's, at least that I know of, like not that many movies, TV shows, but just about dealing, like caring for an aging parent or like caring for a sick family member, whether it's like something temporary or it's like some chronic illness or something like that. Like you don't really see a lot of stuff like that, and I feel like there's a lot you can do with it. It's obviously going to be heartfelt, but like it can be super funny.
yes,
Like
yes.
I've always thought about like how I would love a sitcom of like a couple like caring for their two aging sick parents or whatever. Like it's just a great platform that you don't really see a lot of stuff of because it's not, it's heavy stuff. It's like that one thing that everybody deals with, and we like to pretend like, oh, that doesn't exist. Like, let's chill. Let's watch the NFL.
Yeah, I think I love that you say that because it's interesting. So it's like most American movies that want to deal with like the soon to be death of a family member. And when I say America, I guess it's more of almost like the typical like
Western.
like the more Western influence version. It's always more of just like how are you going to make amends, or is it like, what brought them to get this sickness, or it's like, here we are because I don't get along with this person and I have to go back, almost like a Hallmark holiday type of setup.
Yeah.
But with this movie, and honestly with most like mainstream Asian influence movies these days, it's really like, let's take a second to focus more on like the thing everyone knows or experiences, like sickness. But it makes it always, it's like culture meets family nucleus, and that's it. There's not going to be like a surprise third element. There's not going to be like, and they make amends. It's like, we're dealing with it as if it's a literal definition of slice of life. And once they figure it out, you're done watching them.
It's a journey. It's a fucking, it's fully character driven, dude. And it's fuck. I love it. This is the fucking type of story that I fucking left college wanting to tell, and at like some point in my life I'm gonna get the fucking gall to like do shit like this. But I fucking love these stories. They're so small and so big and so like local but so universal. And fucking I really like the confrontation of two cultures, because it splits your brain in a way that has to be handled a certain way for it to have value. Like the film's for anyone, but you walk in the front door with a Western perspective, and you walk in fully siding with Aquafina, being like, we should fucking tell her.
Mm-hmm.
And you see her parents being like fucked up about not telling her, and then by the end, like, they ease you in to like coming to terms with the fact that they're not telling her. One, because there's a chance she'll get better if she doesn't know. Like, there's a chance that she'll heal better if she's not afraid of dying. And then also, like, the fact that, like, when someone is dying, like, you hold the pain of them dying for them. It's so fucking...
Mm-hmm. Well, that's
makes
the
sense.
cultural part, which is a whole thing that doesn't mean it's never represented.
Because when you think like that, when you think with that idea of the culture and how people interact and how you deal with the elderly and the passing of life, you see the world that they live in, where like it's walkable, like it's like a community, but it's all manufactured, it's all high rises. Like, each neighborhood has like its fucking 20,000 unit building with like the shops, the photo store, the blah blah blah. Everything's got its own little thing, and you can run from one end to the other to the hospital over here. But you're so contained, and it's so ugly, and it's so like tight and packed in that like, and everyone's treated like the same. Like, you are inescapably a part of a unit. You're inescapably a part of something bigger. So like, the culture pushes. You have to think like that in order to survive and be able to like feel like yourself in a culture, in a world that is like that. And it's fucking such a cool response. Like, that shit, you could never think like that here. It just wouldn't fit with the way we live our lives. Like, it just doesn't fit.
Yeah. And then given that obviously a lot of it's not in English, I kind of low-key like, because it's cheesy, but I like when sometimes movies take the risk and do like almost what I kind of think of as like the Broadway effect, like, like Aaron Burr, all the people in Hamilton stare this way, pretend the scene's not happening, and it's like she would do things in this movie Aquafina, like, hey, I'm gonna speak now to the doctor, but it's like, but grandma's like, you know what I mean? But I kind of like when movies take that risk, as long as it doesn't happen the whole movie, because it's like, oh yeah, it's like they just don't know what's going on, and the best way to do this is like, let's pretend everyone is now in black on the stage, the lights went down behind them, let's focus on this for a minute.
That's something George, you and I have talked about a bunch of like our favorite like theme in like TV or movies is what, when we were in like English class in school learning like Shakespeare, they were called dramatic irony, which is when the audience knows something that the people don't. So you have like Ian was saying, like the two clash of cultures, and speaking English, like there's this alternate reality going on right in front of you that everyone else can see, but you can't. So you have that, like, just the dramatic irony of them, this playing out in front of her. Everybody knows like you're living in two different worlds, and then Aquafina's living in 2 different worlds at the same time.
Yeah.
Pretty chill, man.
Dude, and then dude, whenever she starts to like, whenever she realizes that being surrounded by this much family feels like home, like she
Feels
she
good.
realizes that she's associating this community. She's just craving community, and she has never, like, since she left China, she's never had community. And then, like, it's like when she has that realization, it's like the purpose of holding this burden for her grandma starts to, like, she starts to accept it. And then her fucking grandma's friend, or the person who works for her, or sister or whatever,
Sister,
whenever
yeah.
they're in the hospital, and grandma is fucking had that cough, and this is like after that scare, and Aquafina's like, should we tell her? And she's like, no, like, your grandma did the same thing for her husband when he died.
Yeah.
And then that's like when you see, like, she like gets that everyone like, this is not just her, like, everyone's saying this, but like the whole movie thing, I feel like in reality someone would sit you down and be like, we do this because she might live longer. They would give you all the reasons at
Yeah,
once,
yeah,
and you gotta
yeah.
watch the whole movie. But it, like, really eases you in. And then, God, wait, can I talk? Okay, I want to talk about a specific shot thing that I had that I fucking love.
Sure.
Okay, so, like, early in the movie when she gets to China, she, like, leaves the apartment and she's walking alone. She's walking on the street alone, and it's very intense and kind of slow-mo, and she's fucking alone. And then after the whole thing where they're taking the photo, and, like, the boy who's getting married is, like, crying in the photo, and the grandma's like, blah blah blah, and, like, you just saw everyone flipping out at the wedding, like, doing those weird like, the Japanese son is like, my mom, I love her so much, and my son is getting married.
So Japanese. He's acting so Japanese.
He's like,
He's
he lives
bowing
in Japan.
too.
He's yeah. I think his character is Chinese, but he
Yeah.
raised his family in Japan.
Yes,
Fucking-
yes.
Yeah.
He's fumbling the bag so hard, like.
And he's just fucking it up, and he just, like,
Yeah.
is like, it's also, like, it's so obvious everyone there knows what's going on, but they're not saying anything, and anyone who doesn't know she's dying is not saying anything. They're just acting as normal. And then they fucking take the picture, and then the grandma's like, oh yeah, I sent so and so to go get my test results from the hospital, and Aquafina just fucking runs out. She goes and intercepts the files, and she leads the campaign to forge the documents.
Right.
And then, like, you see grandma, she's like, I told you I was okay. And then it cuts to a shot of Aquafina and everyone else, like, in her family that has sacrificed for grandma, who is suffering in order to, like, hold this truth from grandma. Everyone behind her has sacrificed something and given something up, and they're all walking together, and Aquafina's fucking leading the group, and they're all walking, and they look slow-mo, and, like, Aquafina looks like she's about to fucking cry, and then they cut to the close-up, and she's, like, so tough, and everyone, that she's the matriarch now, like, she's leading, and she came from somewhere, like, she came from not being able to, like, comprehend why this was happening, and now she's like, I will go to my grave with this. This is like the most important thing in my life right now. And it's fucking, dude, I love, that's the biggest shit, like, expressing someone's mental and emotional shift, and, like, growing and seeing the world in a more complex way is so fucking special and difficult to convey in a movie, especially a quiet one. Like, it's, oh god, dude, I fucking love. I cried at
and
that
then
moment.
and you're
I
also being
fucking-
sold on Aquafina, so it's like when you get someone who's like, this, like, I'm loud comedian, it's like, and you're forgetting it's even her because you're feeling what you just described.
Yeah, but also, dude, she has the worst posture in this fucking movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Did you notice her? She has bad posture in general.
Yeah, I think
that's
that's just her.
But like that, like, when I was doing BTS on that shoot that she had, whenever she said I was pretty cool, I was in a Vine with her and Jerry Perp Drank one time.
Oh shit, a Vine. Come on.
Bringing it back.
That's a credit. That's a credit, man. That's a credit.
Yeah, it's a credit. They didn't
Roll
fucking
the
tag
7
me,
seconds
otherwise I'd
right
be
now.
famous by now.
Just kidding.
Dude, if they'd tagged me, I think our
Here
lives would be
Nevada.
different.
I did some
Yeah.
Vine. Yeah.
But
No, yeah, for sure.
But also like the posture thing, I was like, dude, that's crazy. Like they didn't say anything. But then like when she's walking, the last shot where she's walking down the street, she like fucking stops and like goes from this to like stands up straight. And then when she does the ha thing, she's like all this. She's standing up straight for the first fucking time in the movie.
That's true.
And
That's true.
I was like, that
Bro,
was
well,
cool.
hell yeah. That I didn't really notice the posture thing, but it definitely would make sense as a theme, especially with those, the little exercise scene. I don't know if you've ever gone through the park. You see these little old ladies, like they're hitting themselves doing the circulation dance.
Dude, I see it on my street when people
little,
are walking
like,
around. Yeah.
Face exercises. Like I used to, this restaurant I used to work with shared like a half kitchen with this like very authentic Chinese restaurant, and the two ladies that worked back there every single day, they were doing little exercises like that, the little huts and stuff like that, and that makes a lot of sense with the posture, because it'd be like, yo, like get your body right. Like you're living in America, you're eating a bunch of crap, you're surrounded by a bunch of crap. Like stand up, dude. Stand up straight. Like you're a proud woman with this long lineage of strong people behind you. Like you don't even know because you're over there in America playing Harvard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. Fucking I love it. Also, like in a culture where there's no personal space, where you just take the space to be loud, like because it makes you feel good. Like seeing the old women like just sort of take space and be loud and like do these things that like in our culture would be considered fucking weird. Oh, dude, that was the first time I cried whenever Grandma was teaching Aquafina how to do that shit. I was like, this is beautiful.
Yes.
And can I say the choreography for that too? Because it's like, and again, this might just be like a typical like a Hollywood Western type of just movie structure. It's like you're gonna do your scene and move on. You know how many times it's like the choreograph was like they decided, and that might even only been the only version that they did coverage wise. It's like here's the shot, and it's like they're going in and out, so you can kind of like feel their dance and their energy. Like Aquafina left the frame at least 3 times, and it's like you think that's when it's like when then Grandma turns is kind of like, all right, like you think they're gonna go to the next scene. It's like no, we're literally locked in this moment with them, and it happens here. I don't know. It's crazy.
I think it was very intentional. I think that was the most important scene in the movie, personally. And the
promise of the premise or whatever, right, coming at you right in the middle.
Yeah, those forms of like exercises and like expelling the toxins through those like very with the ha's, that goes exactly to like what they were trying to explain, like the view of medicine. Like the quote was, we have a saying like in China, when you get cancer, you die. Like there's a lot, it's just a different approach, holistic, like a lot more of a belief of how your mind can make you sick, which I definitely believe is true, which is why when Ian, you were saying like you come in thinking like, oh, they got to tell her, like I came in like, oh yeah, no, they're doing the right thing. Like,
let me ask you guys though. So like same topic, but taking it back a little to when Ian was talking about the like, should we tell her at the hospital and stuff? Did anyone else feel like from that moment on, this movie is going to be like, at one point is Grandma going to be like, I've known the whole time?
Yes.
Which we do get that moment. But get a tiny, very subtle moment. But whenever I saw that, I was like, when is that gonna happen? But
like the way she would smile at them and plan the wedding stuff, I almost thought it was her just being like, I know this is happening too, and I'm just until you guys call me out.
I think that's a part of it. I think that,
but it's like not. So
that's
the thing, though. It's not like. Did you look up what really happened?
No.
So
I did think it was definitely floating around though. Like, did she just know the whole time?
I mean, no. So here's the thing. So the movie came out in 2019, right? The real story is the writer directors life. Like it's her take on what happened when her grandmother was diagnosed in 2013. Grandma was still alive when the movie came out. That's why it's her at the end of the movie, that clip 6 years later. So if you read about it, it's only because of the movie they had to now tell her. Apparently she didn't know, and they even brought her by the set and still didn't know at first.
Yeah.
So
I did hear about that.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, no, it's a whole movie about it. Like, trust me.
Yeah. So if you if all of this is to say is true, which sure, like why wouldn't it be then at this point then, right? Unless grandma just literally was literally taking it to the grave for 6 years, she was continuing to not know.
Dude, in the movie, I think I'm projecting onto it. Like, I got a sense the way they played it. Like, all right, so whenever Aquafina, dude,
I wanted to hear the one moment.
The third time I cried was when they're leaving. Like, so after everything, after Aquafina, after the cool shot of them all walking together after the wedding, Aquafina and her family are getting in the car to leave, and they say like a weird half goodbye in the house, and then the grandma's like, no, I'm going all the way downstairs with you. And then they cut to downstairs, and Aquafina and her are hugging for a long time, like a really long time.
That got me.
Similar angle to the first time we saw them together, where Aquafina comes in and hugs the grandma, and the grandma tries to get away from the hug before Aquafina's ready. And then now they're hugging again, and they mutually hold for a long time. And then whenever fucking Aquafina goes to get in the car, the grandma just keeps like touching the fucking car. And then you see out the back fucking window, dude, and like the grandma is like waving like this, and then she gets to be like this big in the frame, and then she puts her hand over her mouth and like sort of stumbles. And I was like, dude, she fucking knows she's dying.
Yeah.
Like when I saw that, I was like, that.
But that's the thing, right? So then that goes to show even in real life, it's like, yeah, grandma might have known. And again, it's the whole like, you don't talk about it. Like,
it's your playing your part. Like, it's like she knows that they are taking this burden for her, and she knows that her role is to like live with purpose. Like, if no one's saying anything, then I'm clearly not dying yet. Like, they know the rules. It's like fucking. It's like the opposite of when someone has toilet paper on their shoe, you're supposed to tell them. You know, it's like the least embarrassing thing. You know, like something in your teeth is kind of hard to say something, but like, it's easy to know the rules with the toilet paper shit, and it's easy to know the rules. Like, I don't know. When the sister was like, yeah, when she gets close to dying, I will tell her. And then, oh God, it's such a fucking wrecker.
All right, so let's rate this movie. Connie, you start us out.
I'm gonna stay consistent, man. I really enjoyed it, and I have no real reason to separate it from something like City of God, honestly. I'm sticking with my 8.8, and then maybe I'll just do an 8.8 for every single movie we ever watch here. You know,
nice.
You never know. I liked it a lot, and I thought it was unique. I want to see more about dealing with aging parents or whatever. So.
Yeah. What about you, Ian?
10. Fucking 10, dude. So good.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
I love this movie. What about you, Georgie?
I'm right with you. 10. It's a surprise one for me. I don't. It's too soon to decide if it's my top 10, but the movie itself is a 10.
Yeah. I think as far like when I see this movie, it feels like a voice that I want to speak in, and like it feels cool to see yourself in something. Like I'm putting myself in it. Like I'm not in this like I love it. I fucking love this thing. All right, so next week, Connie, you got any ideas?
Pick a number, 1 or 2.
2.
Today we are going to do next movie, which I consider to be a time capsule, something that may never be done again. And I remember this being my favorite Cheech and Chong movie from back in the day. I think this is the one that I like the best. So Cheech and Chong, I guess we kind of started with a comedy in Spice World.
What's this one? What's it called? I can't see the full title.
Next movie.
It's Cheech and Chong's next movie.
Okay. All right. I've never seen a Cheech and Chong movie, to be honest. So here we go.
You've never seen any
Me
of them?
neither.
I just know of them,
neither.
obviously.
I haven't seen any of them since college, but high school and college, I watched like every Cheech and Chong movie. I'm a big fan. I remember that this one was my favorite. I have like all the DVDs, but I picked up this one and one other mystery DVD, which maybe I'll save for the next one.
Oh, you're keeping it a secret. I was about
So
to ask.
so probably the best way to do this, I'll watch it and then I'll ship this DVD to you, Ian. You watch it and then you ship it overnight to LA, and then George will watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then I'll
yeah.
ship it back to
Perfect.
you, and you can hold it up when we present it next time.
Yeah. And that'll help stimulate the economy as well.
Yeah. You know, you got to support the post office.
Absolutely locked in.
Well, all right, man.
Absolutely.
As always, we're glad to have you on. So I guess next week we'll see you and we'll talk some Cheech and Chong.
Thank you very much, my brothers. I appreciate it. You guys are the best.
All right.
See you, Cheech.
All right.
Hi.
Hi,
Y'all
guys.
made us a Cadillac Ranch. Oh my god.
Wow, we're at Cadillac Ranch.
All right. So we're back in, everyone, and we're with Conci and her dad. Hello.
Hi.
Is that
Thank you so much for having us. If we go out of service, I'm sorry. This is our first attempt, but on the road, this is pretty sick.
No, this is awesome. I mean,
We're in the dirt.
yeah, before we get into anything work related, yeah, tell us more about where you're at right now.
We're outside of Amarillo at the famous Cadillac Ranch.
Wow.
10 Cadillacs with their nose in the ground. You know, it's from dust to dust, people and cars. It's true for all of us.
Nice.
Where are y'all going in Texas for the Eclipse? Are y'all gonna stay in North Texas or y'all going somewhere else?
For now, we're gonna camp out Lake Arrowhead, and then we're gonna go to North Texas and just watch the weather and see where it takes us. Could be a frontage road somewhere, could be a party. I'm not sure. We're just going with the wind.
I got all you need is your cowboy hat and your boots, baby. You got it made.
Yeah, you know.
Yeehaw, boy howdy.
All right, so give us the lowdown, Conci. What you been up to, Mr. Rob? What's your life? Let's tell us who you are. What you got going on?
Well, I don't really understand what's happening here, but we're just really blessed to be on this podcast, and we're down to talk about any and all of that. I'm really, I'm really glad that that Ian asked us to come on because, you know, Rob's been in the film industry for a long time and has worked in many different roles and capacities as documentarian and to narrative fiction, video assist, electrician, with accolades and films such as Beautiful Mind and No Country for Old Men and Spider-Man 2002, the most important Spider-Man,
The best one.
So we were stoked to come on. We were talking about it in the car on the way here. Like what could we, possibly want to break down and talk about and with you guys. And clearly we're both in a your hat.
We're out here in the elements. Given a lot to get you guys in touch with you.
I think like a lot of people, we're just trying to be in the now with the film stuff. I don't know. It's a crazy world and a crazy time for the film stuff, but
Yeah. Well, let me tell you guys.
So that's why we're skating away for a second to get real.
I mean, trust me, I get it. I think we both get it. But yeah, no, we'd love to just hear from both of you, really, just a little bit about, I guess, the position that you kind of feel like you enjoy, or just what brought you to how it started and what brought you to where you are in the industry. But whoever wants to go first.
How'd you get into working in the industry and sort of like, let's start there.
We started working Conci at a young age. I was just reminiscing in the car. We were shooting a doc in Portland, and we rented a bicycle built for two, and we had a Burley with all the film gear. She was like 2 years old, so we just stuffed her in, laid some tripods and cases against her, and she was.
And nothing's changed.
Yeah, she's still doing it.
Yeah, I think something on the job. I think on Pop at some point, Conci was laying down in the back of an SUV, like surrounded by camera equipment as well, like just switching locations.
Sure. Yeah.
I remember taking her to her first film festival. She was 3 months old. It was Telluride, and Les Blake had a film that he'd done with Beaujolais, one of the great Cajun families. I think you're from Louisiana. You may
Yes,
know them.
sir.
And
Le
so to
Bon
close,
Temp Roller.
yeah, Les Bon Temps. And they were having, it's one of my great memories. I called her Schmooze Bait. She was 3 months old. I just carried her on my arm like this, and so I just got to meet anybody I wanted. They went, "Oh my God, you got a baby on your arm. What are you doing?" And I remember dancing under the Milky Way. Beaujolais had cooked a big gumbo, and we were all dancing in the street, and they were playing music, and Conci was laying on my arm. I was looking up at the Milky Way, and I just thought that's as good as it gets. And then one of her first, and then when she was 6 months old, no, about a year old, we took her to Sundance, the film festival. We were crashed on the floor. Our friend actually won the audience award for best dog, Berkeley in the 60s. And he had a 1-year-old. She was 1 year old. And I remember we took her into a film, and she was sitting on my lap, and she went, "Doggy." And there was a dog on the screen. And that was her first critique.
Is this the quality content you were looking for, Ian?
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
about to say. I was about to say. I thought you were about to say first word, and you were like first critique. She was like, "The doggy should not be there. This is a bad dog."
Yeah. Talking about the light. I
You know,
don't know.
PETA was an issue. PETA.
So,
Yeah.
So literally
So,
grew
Rob,
up
are
in
you-
it.
yeah, fuck it. Yeah, grew up in the back of a Pelican case. Rob, are you originally from New Mexico? Like, what's your your
Let's tell
story?
your origin story about how you got
I
into
grew
it.
up in Ohio. And
Ohio.
yeah. And I read Be Here Now. It's a book that brought Eastern thought by Ram Dass to us hippies. And he was living in Santa Fe. So I went there in 71. He had a restaurant called the Outside Inn. And then I discovered Timothy Leary, the LSD, one of the other LSD guys from Harvard. He was living under an alias, tending bar. And then Abby Hoffman, he top 10 wanted from the Chicago 7 scene. He was living under an alias and waiting tables at a bar there. And Bob Dylan was living there. And Dennis Hopper was making Easy Rider there. And I thought, this is an interesting place. It was like being out of the country, really. Santa Fe was like almost Mexico. And so I fell in love with it. And it was also the birthplace for passive solar and design. First people to write books about that lived there. And I went there and also to meet them. And I've had 2 careers kind of in film and also in sustainable architecture and solar design. And I moved to LA to act, I thought, maybe for a while in the 70s. Lived in Topanga Canyon and hung out at Will Geer's Theatrium Botanicum. I don't know if you know of that. It's a theater in the woods in Topanga Canyon. And
Heard of
Geer
it.
was Grandpa on the Waltons. Beautiful guy. He was like that in real life. He was such a giving mentor to young actors, and they'd workshop little plays there in the woods, and like for free, he just let
Man.
people hang out there. And Woody Guthrie used to stay there. He was a friend of Will's. Will premiered Of Mice and Men for Steinbeck on Broadway. Ended up playing Grandpa on the Waltons when he was an old grandpa.
Oh man. So needless to say, this is all the traditional, normal intro to film world that everyone experiences.
Yeah. Everyone bumps into Bob Dylan whenever they're like sort of in a shift in their life. Yeah. So you were in the film. You were in film for a long time, and what sort of eased your? what sort of eased your way out of it? Like where was your head at when you sort of started
Well,
seeing your way out?
but tell me, yeah, can I, do you mind if I just jump in, Ian,
Dude,
just
keep
right
it
before that?
going.
I'm
Just,
getting senile.
just because,
So,
no, that's not even true. But, no, but I mean, you talked about your interest in like New Mexico and talking about doing a little acting, but how did you get into, I mean, the film side,
really
like the
into
film
film.
side is a whole, is
Yeah,
kind of its
you
own
know, I
thing.
got interested in that really in a big way from at a film festival in Santa Fe in the '80s. I met Michael Powell, who did The Red Shoes and was, you know, a great British director who helped usher in Technicolor. And I became friends with his son who was there, and his son stayed in Santa Fe after the film festival, and we became roommates. So I was always hearing a story, and his father, Michael, was Marty Scorsese's mentor in a lot of ways. And so I would hear these stories, uh, you know, about his life. And he went out, he took us out to Zoetrope when Coppola, because Coppola also, he loved Michael. And Michael's career, pal, his career was destroyed by a witch hunt after making like 25 feature films. Some great films. It was they started a whisper campaign that he had made a snuff film, Peeping Tom. I don't know if you ever saw the old film
I've
Peeping
heard.
Tom.
Yeah,
I've
oh,
heard
yeah,
of
yeah,
that.
And they started a whisper campaign in the press that he had actually killed real people
yeah. Oof.
in the making of the film. And he called his friend. He said Hitch. They had made like he and Hitchcock were partners and made like
Yitch.
their first 5 films
Oh, Hitch.
together. And he called him up because Hitch was getting ready to release. It was either Psycho or The Birds, and he said you should skip it. You know, I think it's going to be too much for the critics. You should just go right to the theaters. You know, don't give the critics a chance. And so
Yeah.
that's what he did. That's what Hitch did when he released that because of the terrible experience Michael had, and then Scorsese and Coppola kind of went and rescued him from
Yeah.
sort of anonymity and said, "Hey, man, the Archers, you know, this production company he had with Emmerich Westberger, you know, meant a lot to them and to both of them. In fact, Coppola, when we went out to Zoetrope, he had a big sign on the door, Director Emeritus, and Coppola had just given him an office, put a big sign on the door, Director Emeritus at Zoetrope Studios, and um, so that was the first set I was ever on. Really, it was One from the Heart, and it actually did Francis in financially.
Yeah. Well, he did that a lot to
Spent
himself.
$1 million
Francis was
on
always.
neon.
Yeah. How?
Uh,
So, what were you doing on that first set?
Yeah.
That you said it was one for the
well, I
heart.
was
What were you
just
doing?
actually by the time we got there, it was over, and he was going bankrupt, and we were cleaning out the office. His of the director emeritus because they were shutting it down. He was auctioning stuff off.
And you were like,
I've
this is
had
the
a
biz for me.
Yeah, and I'm going, I want to do this.
I've had a couple jobs cleaning out offices,
Oh,
but I
yeah.
never wanted to stay there whenever I cleaned one out.
Where
Did you
the
just
documentary stuff and then the narrative stuff, like where did you what was the path from there?
One of the first ones I worked on in the '80s that I was putting together, I was just shooting Super 8. I was so excited because they had regular 8mm, and then it'd come out with Super 8, and the image was
Oh,
a
yeah.
millimeter wider and smaller, sprocket holes, and I was going, "Oh fuck, this is it."
oh fuck, this is it.
This is the new age. And I got the first field cassette recorder that had the Dolby C, you know. And so it was the first time you could take a smaller portable recorder into the field, you know. And I used to tape a little shotgun mic to my arm so I could kind of be shooting and aiming the little shotgun mic.
Wow.
And I got chased by the immigration. This was a film about illegal immigrants because I had made friends with some guys that I knew, and I went to Chihuahua, Mexico, and I got interested in their lives because every year they'd spend 5 days hiking up through the desert to get back into the U.S. and work construction season and go back.
This is
So
in the 70s.
this was in the 80s,
Okay,
early
80s.
80s, and that's really when I started shooting. And we got chased by immigration. There was a time there was like sunset, and we were about 200 yards from a patrol car on a dirt road near the border, and they're going, "We see you guys, halt," and it was sunset. It was starting to get, it was twilight and getting darker. And so my Mexican friend said, "Drop down on the ground." There are bushes like about 3 feet high
Yeah.
in the
Just
Sonoran
disappear.
Desert. And we just disappeared under those bushes and started crawling like a snake. I've got photos of us crawling in the dirt. They've got their bullhorn. They're going, "Stop, come back," And we're going, "Yeah, come get us, you fat fucks." And they didn't.
Wait, so is that the first, that like, whether it was like the absolute first or like, you basically were like, you found out about documentary, and did you go and like start that whole thing yourself? Like, you just had some friends, you found out they were doing that, and you just got into it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. My dad had a little, at that point, was living like about 100 miles from the border, and people would come down out of the mountain now and then. And I met a couple on his little farm, and they'd say, "Well, we haven't eaten in 2 days. We'll do anything for a meal." And, I just became fascinated with their journeys and their struggles. And as I got to know them, I got to love them more as a warm, generous culture, really going out, risking everything for their families.
The transition from that experience to lattes and union call sheets.
Dude, oh my God, jumping from like,
yeah.
I mean, if you dive in that deep, there's no way you don't you either stay in it forever or you got to find a couch somewhere.
Actually, one of the first films I was on, I was an extra, and Redford, it was Milagro Beanfield War. It was shot in New Mexico. I don't know if you guys remember that, but
Yeah.
I was, all the extras are hanging out at craft service and overeating. And I was over there at a fence beside craft service doing ballet warm ups, and I had my leg up, and I was like, stretching. Because I had been taught, I'd taken some acting lessons, and I was taught, you got to be a dancer, you got to be an acrobat to be an actor.
Yeah, you got to be a triple threat.
Yeah, I'm just a fucking extra in a suit who's going to be in the background of a party, but I'm doing all this warming up just to be background. And Redford just comes over, puts his arm around me, and goes, "Come on, man, I got a part for you." And I'm just like, fuck, my first day in a film, and I'm getting cast. Yeah! So here I come. And so I started rehearsing with Freddie Fender. I just had to ask him a couple questions. I was going to play a reporter. And then the casting director comes over, and while we're standing there, we're getting ready to shoot. He goes, he was in the background in a party scene with the rich investors. If somebody sees it, it won't, it might not cut. So he was like, "Sorry, man, I got to get somebody
robbed you."
I was that close. We were minutes of rolling.
You were gonna be spinning pirouettes, showing them how good you were at dancing, bro, and they robbed you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know, it's all warmed up, ready to go.
Oh man.
And then how'd you make your way from into lighting side of things? Were you drawn to it more once you got onto bigger things, or?
I thought I want to just learn, as much as I can about it. The way I got out of New York, it was just rocking. There were so many films going on, and plus Spider-Man was going on. That was so huge. So I just went down to CSC, Camera Service Center. I don't know if it's still there. And I just would sit at the door as the semis would come in with the best boys to load up. And I had Harry Box's book, The Art of Lighting.
Right.
And it was like reading that, waiting for the next truck, and then reading, waiting for the next truck. And I, the best boy in second unit on Spider-Man went, we're out of union crew in New York. Everybody was working in the union. So come on, you can work.
Yeah.
And,
so wait, holy.
Yeah, let's pause at Spider-Man. Yeah.
Wait. So the fact that it's Spider-Man is one thing, but you just sat outside and got picked up like you're out, like you're chilling at Home Depot waiting for work.
Yeah, I looked like a homeless person.
And they were like, "Yo, you look great. Like, can you move a dolly? Like, I heard you dolly gripped once."
They didn't even know that, They just went, You know, you want it bad. They could see I was there. Man, I want it.
I wonder if that would be at all possible.
And they were paying 25% above union scale because the union was out of juicer.
Yeah, they're trying to
You know,
pull
you're trying to
people.
get people. We had, I think it was 17 semis on second unit electric. We were lighting, you know, skyscrapers, you know,
Yeah.
because it was odd. They had, they wanted, I thought they could do this digitally maybe, but they really, people swinging, Spider-Man swinging from building to building, they really had cranes and real, you know, like ropes or cables, and then stuntman swinging from building to building because they wanted the exact mapping of what it would look like if you were swinging on a web from building to building. So they did that, and then later on they would map the costume onto the stuntman. In fact, two stuntmen broke their backs on that film. You know, they would put these painted trompe pads on the side of the building so it looked like windows and brick, and then they could swing into the wall, and two of them cracked vertebrae in the shooting of that.
On the same
Not-
stunt?
No, I don't know. I wasn't there actually when that happened. I just heard the stories that it had happened.
I am curious though. How does it feel? I guess looking back on it, or how did it feel then working on Spider-Man? Because you know that's really the start of look at what it's become, that entire superhero genre. Like, did it ever feel like the start of something new? Or was it just another movie at the time?
Answer honestly.
You know, I was never that attracted to tentpole action, you know, formulaic films. You know, my heart was always with the indies, independents, and the doc makers. Actually, one of the other things that really got me going was meeting Edward James Olmos and Robert Young when they were shooting in my little village I lived in Cerrillos, New Mexico. They were shooting the Ballad of Gregorio Cortez, which got reviewed by some people as one of the most authentic westerns ever made. I don't know. Robert Young, his brother, Erwin had Duard, and his father had invented Technicolor, I guess, was part of that. Robert was just a straight shooting. He won the first Palme d'Or on a feature he made with all Mexican immigrants in the fields of Southern Cal. Heartfelt, beautiful guys passed recently. And Edward James Olmos, artistic acting you know, partner, is such a good man, humanitarian, you know.
Yeah. And then, God, what a wild ride, dude. You seem to be like, you seem like someone who follows their nose whether people tell them to or not. And it's so, I'm at a point in my life where I'm like sort of evaluate, like it's been slow for so long here for me, and like I'm at this point. I know I'm still young, but I'm at this point where I'm evaluating like where I've been and what path I'm on. And it's fucking very it makes me feel good to see you. It seems like you've just kind of gone where you felt like you wanted to be for your most of your life, and you made it work, and it just kept work it. I'm sure you had points that didn't work out, but like the high points, it sounds like things just would things work out.
Well, you know, something happened that really kind of ruined it for me, and that was seeing an inconvenient truth. I think I was at Telluride when that premiered, and I had been really supporting myself building solar houses, you know, kind of intermittently, and I was really into that. So I sort of had two careers going. I was trying to weave together. And when I saw that, I realized, wow, this whole climate thing is really real, and it's a planetary emergency. And I had, you know, for 15 years already designed and built solar housing, sustainable housing, and that's when I really backed off. I went off. I thought I'll start. At that point, I was like the #1 video assist guy in New Mexico, and we'd gone from 3 crews to 7 crews. It was really growing industry in New Mexico, like in the 90s. And, but I started my solar energy company again, okay, I'll train people to run it, and then I can go back and make some meaningful documentaries and get back
Yeah.
into the biz. And it just never happened. I never really was organized enough or found the right people that could really do the engineering and keep the company going. So now I get my yayas out just by shooting with my iPhone. I have a vlog on Instagram, Soul Man Rob, but it's SOL.
Like and
Yeah.
subscribe, follow
Solar.
Soul Man Rob, SOLMANROB.
Oh, we'll throw it in the description. Don't worry.
Plug.
I just travel and talk about sustainability and, beautiful, simple ways to live, meet interesting people in other cultures.
We're gonna make something at the Eclipse for Soul Man Rob. That's
Nice,
for sure.
nice.
Eclipse. I'm going viral on the Eclipse.
This is pre-pro right now.
Yeah.
That's the goal. That's the goal. Stepping away from the house.
Soul Man.
We're going viral, baby.
Because go ahead.
You got into films to have adventure. You got into movies to have adventures and to capture things and to tell stories that weren't being told. And then it sounds like when it got to the point where it wasn't about that anymore, you found purpose. You shifted to where you were having an impact. It sounds like, I don't know. That's fucking cool, dude. You're inspiring the hell out of me right now.
Yeah.
And Conci,
what? Solar energy, come on out.
Wait,
dude,
yeah.
If this year keeps going this slow, I might call you.
I do.
Honestly, we all should be doing that.
Yeah. I do have a question though. This is gonna be the least exciting thing of everything you've just said, but you said you worked on No Country for Old Men, right?
Hello there.
Yeah. I was video assist, second unit.
Cool. Is it true the story I've heard that the smoke from There Will Be Blood set would ruin your set?
I never heard that.
I didn't hear that, but I was out on second unit. I was hanging out with Josh Brolin. I thought he was a stunt man. I had no idea that he was the star of the film. I didn't know.
Dude, I heard that when he got that job, he was like, they told him how much he was making, and he was like, hell yeah, just enough to pay my rent. And then his agent was like, no, dude, you're missing a zero. And he was like, apparently he got that job like right as he was about to have to quit the dream.
Wow.
That's
that's true, huh? He was that was kind of the one that brought him back into it.
Well, you got to want it bad as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they don't make it worth it unless you get a big name.
Yeah.
And then they make it not worth it then if you're famous.
Yeah.
I
think I mean, you have quite the filmmaker's version of on the road experience.
And then
that's 100% right.
Yeah. The Beats were my mentors.
Yeah.
Big book for me.
And then Conci, I guess, how did you find what? All right, so you're doing.
Why did I?
Your shit, yeah. What is it? Were you follow? What was it? It was
Well,
seeing
that's a perfect segue because I remember being in high school. So then, and I entered the chat. I remember being in high school and my dad coming back from a day on set, and I didn't really care too much about films or filmmaking. It wasn't a thing that I was really thinking about at all. And I remember, you coming back and being like, oh yeah, today we had a guy who had to jump in the river and was chased after a pit bull down the Rio Grande and describing a scene. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever, Dad, I'm going to go hang out with my friends. And then now later on, I realized, oh yeah, it's a totally very recognizable scene from the Coen brothers film and, of that happening. And it didn't have the same type of appreciation because you're just in your own universe and the angst of it all. But I know that Rob had a studio in downtown Santa Fe that was kind of a consortium with a couple other artists at the time called Art House Productions and Muse Media. And I think one thing that has been pretty critical for me and my development of I don't know, maybe understanding the tech side of the artistry is Rob's always been on like cutting edge of having, whatever you said, the decks and your beta cam and things like that. And, in the first version of Final Cut and all of this. And so I had early access to playing around on a lot of that kind of stuff. And man, a little as if I didn't realize how informative and important that would have been for me for the rest of like my development, my career, just like having young eyes on that kind of stuff. And so I was more into like black and white, darkroom, fine art, photography world. I was interested in National Geographic, and I mean, still obviously, there's part of
Adventure side.
a crossover in that Venn
Mhm.
diagram. But yeah, just a right-brained person starting early on, and so I there was one of my first high school jobs. I guess I was like 15 or something. There was a film being shot in New Mexico called Sunset Limited, which was written by Cormac McCarthy, directed by Tommy Lee Jones, and starring Tommy Lee Jones and Samuel Jackson as like a lifeboat kind of. It was based off a play, really. So it was being shot on a stage, and there was a call out needing an assistant editor for dailies management. And so I showed up and decided, oh, that could be a cool job. I've seen my dad, on his Final Cut systems or whatever he's had. And they said, do you know Avid? And I was like, for sure. Yeah, of course. And I never, ever opened Avid. And
Yeah, that's
and they didn't even
like,
ask
do you
how
know
old
how
I
to
was.
dissect the body?
But that's also lesson one. You just say yes and figure it out later.
Yeah. And I literally, and then there was someone who did have an Avid setup in that studio, and they were like, oh, you want me to show you how to, turn on the program? And I was like, yes, please. And so they hired me, and so all I did was Paul Elliott was the DP, and it was for HBO, and they just needed someone who could organize the dailies every day for the end of the day as they would come in on the stage. And so I figured out pretty quickly that I had no fucking idea what I was doing. But fortunately they were cool, and it wasn't a difficult job, so they just went with it. And then I think about 3 weeks in, they were like, how old are you? And I was like, 15. And they were like, oh shit.
Like, wait, what?
I'm pretty sure that's not even.
For that.
I'm sure that's not even quite legal. But I
La,
don't know.
la,
But
la.
who cares? It was just. It was. But it was. Plenty of friends who were waiting tables and stuff. 14, 15, and this was. How blessed was I to have that as like a first experience of, and also this kind of, I wouldn't say false confidence, but enough confidence to feel like I could figure it out. And yeah, and so that was kind of one of the earlier things that I did, and I owe that a lot to my dad. And then I stopped that, and then I had no interest in film, and then I got a boyfriend who needed a video camera to film a play that he was doing, and I was like, oh well, there's a video camera I have access to. And then that turned into him saying, hey, do you want to try and shoot this guerrilla feature we're doing? I want to buy a Panasonic DVX 100B and shoot a feature. And I was like, I love you, okay. And so I went ahead and just started to tool around. I was like, yeah, I'll like come around and help out. And then by the end, we were like sleepless nights, for months on end, and this is probably like, 16, 17 years old, just friends wanting to hang out and saying, no, we're working on the movie, and just like, that kind of I don't know, the hustle bone really came out when we were doing that, and we really dug into it, and we made a fucking feature film, full 90-minute feature film on the DVX, and I was pretty impressed afterwards because then we like put it into some festivals and things like that, and so it was just like diving in, um, with both, feet for head first or whatever, and I felt like, oh, maybe this is kind of the more lucrative way of working in the art world, because fine art photography seems a little bit more elusive to me, and
It's like being a
I was,
singer. It's like, yeah.
yeah. So maybe I was right in ways. Maybe I should have just stuck with the fine art thing. I don't know, or I'm making a transition back into that. Uh, but um, yeah, and then went ahead with those same pals and made a second feature film, and just happened to, you know, um, have access to and run into people who, we shot, what is it? I guess 720 on the DVX, and met someone who had the prototype Airy Relativity, the first upresing system that Airy had created, and we upres to 1080.
1080. Yeah, baby.
And just like did some really experimental color with that, and then, and then with a little, and I was still trying to figure out, okay, so what am I going to do with my life? And my dad said you should go hit up AFI, the American Film Institute in LA, and so
I took a night course there once.
yeah, and I really didn't know anything, and I did 1 year of college in Portland, Oregon, and studied philosophy and ecology, and the worst grade I got, the only B I got or C I got was in whatever film studies class that I decided that I thought would be an easy A, and it was the worst, so
Oh
whatever.
man.
But yeah, but so at 20 or at 19, I guess 19 or 20, I applied to AFI and Santa Monica Community College, and then I got into AFI, and then I've been trying to figure out, and I've been broke ever since. And then I've been figuring out ever since, and that was great. Crash course. I went in at 20. There are people who had Emmys and are in their 40s and in the union already, who were trying to, at a different development, point in their careers, and I was, yeah, I'm
With the
sure.
beginning-
Kid. She was, most of the other people had, bachelor's degrees and 5 years experience. It made an exception. Or she bullshitted her way in.
Dude,
It seems
I
to
know
be the
Abbott,
trend.
Yeah,
I mean,
y'all
yeah.
a couple bullshitters. Y'all are great.
I used to do that. We got an Avid, and I used to kept the manual in the bathroom, and I'd have a client would go, "Could you do this effect?" And I'd be, "Yeah, but
like,
first I got to take a dump."
Yeah. I get real nervous. I gotta poop before I, figure out how to J cut that audio over the guy screaming.
I mean, the whole thing, the craft is such a learning curve. It's such a extremely steep learning curve, and it's hard, and it's really interesting because, just to bring it to like, modern day. I've been talking about this a lot. One of the reasons the past year has been so tough for people is it's not acknowledged how many hours you have to put in your life to develop the skill set. It's a full-time thing for sure to reach any type of level where you even begin to get in the flow of the community. It's a high demand skill set to have, and so once that disappears, for a strike or whatever it may be, it can be an extremely destabilizing thing for folks who don't have a second skill set or an invested career to fall back on. It's like it's really leaping and having the net appear, because you have to give 100% to be able to reach the level where you can even begin to participate in the craft. And I kind of, it makes me feel a lot for people who, anyone in the film industry really.
Yeah.
And
Can I just say though,
yeah,
I really admire the way you both kind of have your own versions of an act now, think later kind of approach to like life, or at least for our industry for sure. But I say it in an admire way, because I say act first because you guys both seem to share a theme of not letting fear or doubt take over. Like, I want to figure this out. Like, I'm just gonna do it. Hey, I'm doing Avid today. I'm doing pirouettes over here today. Whatever it takes. I'll think about how crazy that was later.
yeah, I think it's the most efficient way to move forward, and yeah. Uh, and also, even if something isn't exactly in your life's vision, like, okay, working as a lamp operator on a specific big feature on a union set, and maybe you feel like you have a burning driving values or direction that you're wanting to go, but you have you know but still saying yes to the opportunities that may feel like they're different paths sometimes, but it's all part of the development. The just I don't know, I guess the power of yes just
Be here now.
propels.
Yeah, be here now is a perfect way to
Be here
put it.
now. Wow. Yeah.
God, okay. So I had a really nice parallel that I was gonna make and flatter you guys, but I forgot it, so I'm not gonna do that. So
that was very nice, Ian.
yeah. Very thoughtful. You guys are fucking cool. It like constant it seems like you found your own way into it, and you like, but it's interesting how your energy mirrors Rob's so much. It's fucking cool. Because it like seeing him around it just opens the door. It like makes it presents it as a reality. Like I didn't grow up around like anyone that did that shit, but I had the same like feel. Like I feel like everyone that gets into this like starts a project with their friend and they realize that it's the only sort of work that they are willing to stay up all night and do. It was the only
100%.
thing I could fucking focus on, and it was like, and it was fun, and it felt, and like there's people that make a living doing it. So like just have like, it seems like you found it on your own, even though the door was open, and it's fucking cool.
And it's also the yes thing is what led me to you. That's why we're having this conversation right now, because I did the AFI thing. I dug down into scripted narrative, filmmaking, and then I had someone who asked if I could step in and for a day for a feature doc for he couldn't make the first day because he was going to a wedding, and I filmed the first day, and it was just an incredible interaction with filming in LA, and 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 I fell in love with the doc, and I told my friend that I'm gonna shoot this film. I hope you're cool with that. And he was like, "Yeah, that's fine. I don't want." And I ended up shooting this feature, this multi-year feature called Land of the Free, which came out in 2017, all in LA, about people who have been affected by incarceration and life afterwards, and reentry into mainstream society and everything like that. And so I found a profound sense of fulfillment, not just in the types of stories, but just in I don't know, maybe the more punk rock version of the filmmakers, the community that you could, hang with, and with less convoluted approach to just the everyday, um, you know, practice, from how cameras moved around, and to, just being really real about your approach, and everything is really story focused. And it's as much as I love to be on these super machine sets with everything well oiled and this kind of military efficiency. That stuff can be so fun and interesting to be on that ride. But I really had a similar sense to epiphany to what my dad had going on, and I did not have any interest in documentary because yeah, I saw y'all doing that earlier on.
They
I
used
was
to
like,
be
no,
boring.
Yeah.
it's a very different thing now. I feel like in some ways.
I was almost shot on a dock, and she was almost shot the final day of shooting that. Maybe you want to tell them that story.
No, but I mean, I mean, there's real life situations that you get into, which is just far more. It's a far better education of the world and of humanity and planet Earth to be, you know, when I look back, I personally would rather be dipping in and out of places and communities uh, through travel and storytelling than have spent my life working on a stage. And so, um, and so that's what kind of brought me into, uh, you know, shooting documentary feature, a lot of longitudinal feature docs. And then I was approached by the director, Dylan Levers, with this script called Pop Pop about kind of a 2016 era experience of people becoming radicalized through the dark web and analysis of um, the status of the impressionable nature of the youth and our online vortexes that have opened up, and we talked a lot about it, and it was one of the first narrative scripts that I had read many narrative scripts that I turned down. I actively turned them down a lot, and read that script, and 2/3 of the film was took place in these political rallies, and it and that was around 2020 that we first decided that we wanted to start taking the film seriously and kicking it into production, figuring out how to make it, and was watching these rallies around the 2020 election pop up. This is in Proud Boy rallies, and I mean, Ian knows everything because and so I pitched that we just go and just there was no a dollar amount that could give us the depth and the value of what was really happening,
being there.
And being there. And so let's just figure out our own ethical codes and feelings and thoughts, which is a big conversation with Doc World, and going out and being voyeurs without I mean, your presence in doc means you're inherently participating no matter what. There's no real objective, but approach, purely objective approach. But so we had lots of talks. We got together a great camera package, and we first went and shot in Portland when there was a big rally with a lot of heat between Antifa camp, cowboy camp. Things were going on, and so we went and filmed there, and then we filmed the Penstone Mountain rally in Georgia, and then went a couple weeks before January 6th to DC for one of the Stop the Steal marches, and we documented a lot. We did a lot of research, had tons of conversation, and then began the narrative, scripted elements of the film, and that's when we met Ian, Ross, our savior, and we're looking for someone like Ian who had the sensibility to work on something that was a touchy, kind of complicated topic, you know, on a shoestring with, just big ideas at heart, who also was positive and, and also embodied that punk, scrappy mentality with also, being able to hold space for people and
You
take
kind of
care of
need that. You
people
need
at a
that
level that
dichotomy,
everyone
you know.
deserves.
Yeah, because
What?
the punk
Yeah.
rock, dude. When you said like the punk rock shit, I was like, that's like what I was. That's how I started this shit. Was doing like crazy, like fucking doc style music video, 3 minutes, but like with real people and like the whole thrill of the first part, like the first things that I ever did that I'm proud of, like it was it was more about the thrill of not knowing how to do it and just like going and doing it and figuring out it as you go and like defining your own lines, making your own rules and just basing it off of like how you feel in certain spaces and like you know pushing the boundaries with people and like why I like I'm fucking glad. I'm glad that we're here right now, and I'm glad that I got to do pop with you because what drew me to it was the like punk shit that y'all were doing, like going to the y'all. I read the script and I was like, this is gonna be fucking hard, and I was like, that sounds sick, and I was like, I don't like. It was like a like the whole script is like, it's extremely difficult, and it's like a very thin line to ride. And I was like, I kind of had been saying that I was never gonna produce a feature, and if I was gonna produce a feature, it was gonna have to be like I don't know. This was the one. Like I'm not a type A like pencil pushing producer. I'd like to fucking get my hands dirty. So it was fucking cool. I'm glad that we aligned there because I think
It
that
seems like total value alignment that happened.
Yeah,
That's
But
awesome.
that's what every project should be, in the
Oh
end
yeah.
is,
you
Okay.
define what you
having
want out of it, you define why you came there, and you define what the goal is. And if you have your boxes that you live within, you'll always be satisfied, or you'll stop because you'll realize it's not working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna let you guys go in a moment, just because I know we're holding you up
For
from
sure.
some Eclipse prepping. But I just want to say, we touched on it a little here, and Ian and I are always touching on whether it's like some doubts these days because
You're always
slower,
touching.
always, But well, some doubts these days, whether it's slower period of work or this and that, or the work we're doing. But I wanted to say thank you to both of you for kind of just reminding us of reasons we got into this one way or another. Like, look at Ian was smiling for half of that just now, or just allowing us to remember the different outlook you can have. Like, that kind of just starts with yourself for the way we go about all of this.
I love that you say that. And I really do believe that, when I talked earlier about the learning curve and everything, there's also, a lot of masking and a big intimidation factor when you're going on to sets and set culture and filmmaking culture. And, a lot of it's an extremely competitive place, even amongst your tightest colleagues,
Mhm.
and I think early on, um, I fell into um, resentments or concern about the amount of, I don't know, ego and and um, and the kind of almost a hazing culture amongst film people of having to your earn your stripes in a certain way to be able to climb up to a certain place in the film world. And as I've you know come up from my own ways of even working as an AC or an operator and then becoming department head or a DP, um, that's all a whole bunch of bullshit. And
Yeah.
it's a new medium and a new um, kind of it's an ever changing craft, and it's you know it's like a pop-up shop. You design it however you want it to be, and the culture is whatever you bring to the table and however you participate. And so, yeah, I think I'm glad that I've gotten to the point where there's some confidence in that, where your attitude and how you want um, a project to work, how you want the flow to be, how you want make sure people feel valued or whatever. It's completely up to you in making that happen. And
Amen.
I think a lot of people would do well with remembering that, and I think it would create a less brutal kind of internal environment for freelance people.
Yeah, I love the thumbs up that always happens. It's our theme.
Yeah, because the culture, the energy is like in your control, and like when you're coming up, often it feels like no one has control over why things feel right or good or respectful. And when you get to a certain point and things aren't shitty anymore, you're like, oh, it's always a choice. There's always a choice whether to treat people in a way that makes you feel good, makes them feel good, empowers them to do the best. And
Yeah.
I think we're
Yeah.
we're all in a place where we can control it. Everyone on set has
Yeah.
a chance to do that, and it's a unique world
Yeah.
that we.
You just have to
industry that we live
remember
in.
you can control it. That's the thing. And I'm saying that to myself too.
Yeah. Well, and even this open conversation, you know, kind of this podcast forum is is you know, walking that talk and having this yeah, open source communication is like a huge part of that. So I think it's really cool that you guys are doing this. I'm tuning in always.
Well, thank you.
Hell yeah.
I mean, of course, we're happy you both came on and were able to find service in the middle of the desert. So thank you.
I'm glad they put a tower by Cadillac Ranch.
Yeah.
Well, yo, all right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on. Rob, thank you for sharing your stories, and Conci, thank you for expanding on that.
Yeah, thank you. It was great meeting both of you. And then Conci.
Oh, you did the.
Oh,
You did it.
He knows how to do it. Oh, I did it too.
And Rob is nice. And Rob is an inspiration, I think, to me and to everyone. I feel so lucky that that I got to be related to him, and I don't take it for granted at all. So the idea of, you know, even the fun idea of having a digital footprint of this conversation exist out there with us just being together chatting about this is like really special. So I appreciate you guys.
of course.
Yeah, it was fun. I learned some things about just our relationship, really, and kind of, you know.
Oh.
Good.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
All right. Well, let's get you guys on again in a couple
Yeah,
months.
for sure.
We'll get another reason to talk. We'll get a little deeper on something.
We're in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
By then, I'll be viral after the Soul Man Eclipse.
Oh,
Yeah.
then we'll have something to promote.
Yeah. We'll definitely have you guys on again, I'm sure, as well as, you know, if we're speaking LA, Conci, hopefully we cross paths at some point.
Yes, definitely.
But yeah, it was great having you both on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Showing up, you guys.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. I'll give you a final look.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
the
give us the view.
professional, like, of wiping it down, though.
Dude, Conci's always got a bandana, man.
Man, I get dust all over it.
I think lifting it. Hold on, we're stabilizing now. We were losing you for a second. Now I think
Yeah, now we're here. Hey, that's beautiful.
This is gonna be the thumbnail right there.
The balloons. I feel like the laptop got too far from the hotspot.
Yeah, the moment she picked it up, it's like it's over.
All right, goodbye, farewell.
That was awesome, dude.
They're great. Oh, there was some we couldn't hear Rob for half of it, but
so
that was so cool.
It's like I
It's
noticed you first.
I feel like the perspective of people like with parents that work in the film industry overtly has a tint to it. It's like talking with them, it's like it's not even like remotely close to like a family business. I guess like because he's also not like a huge, him being in the industry was not a foot in the door. It was just, here's the door.
Right.
And it's cool to hear, I don't know, just the way he is and the way their paths just mirror each other so well, and it doesn't seem like she strode for that. It doesn't seem like she wanted anything to do with what he'd done. But they're so similar.
Yeah.
Their lives are like they're like
It's a
race cars on the
similar,
same track.
Like I was gonna say, similar trajectory, yeah, and approach to
Yeah.
thing. I mean, it's just
Because I'm nowhere near my parents. Like my mom,
Oh no, no.
my mom and my mom and I are very like similar energy, but like there was a point where like I've been, she created a life where I could be more fortunate than her, and so I think I took a road that she maybe was picturing at some, I don't know, but it's just
I know. I get
so warming and nice.
I get what you're saying, and then I mean, on my end, I'm the only person like my entire family that followed a, so to say, left-brained career path. Like,
Yeah.
So that alone is just like there's no relation there if you're talking. But then even just the through line, it's like those two just now had such a, I don't know. Just I was gonna say before I cut you off, like, and I might not have helped the podcast format, but when someone or people say things that are both, an interest meets relatable thing, or just it's just humane, it's human, like the way that they were telling their stories and what they had to share and like the outlook they had of it that can resonate with you. When those kind of moments happen, I was like, I'm mostly just gonna sit back and let them talk, let it speak for itself, because it's just something so unique.
It's fucking cool. And Consi's such a nice like breath of just perspective, and she always takes her time with like takes her time, just she's very considerate. And I'm that was cool seeing her dad. I feel like I know her so much better now because just meeting her dad, because she would talk about him sometimes, but like holy fuck, what a ride.
Yeah.
That was cool. I definitely want to have them.
They'll definitely
do
be
that
on again, and I'm
with better audio. Yeah,
we'll do it. There's gonna be something, and we'll tie it to like a full moon day or something.
Yeah, we'll figure something silly to do. Or something.
Yeah, or even one of my New York trips. Something's gonna it'll come to us. You know what I mean? It's gonna be like if we don't plan it. Like, look at that. Oh, they're going to the Eclipse.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Thank you whoever was watching. As always, we appreciate all the likes, follows, subscribes. We go live every Sunday on Twitch, and then the episodes come to YouTube. So whichever platform you're watching, you know where to look. You can see all our socials and how to keep up with us. We also have a community Discord. So yeah, we'll be back next week, I think, right? We're gonna keep doing this. I think we're gonna keep doing this.
Yeah. We'll keep going. We'll keep expanding, like as we go, as we get more comfortable with this, we'll more and more, it'll just get wider and wider, and ideally we'll have our own little community in a world where these conversations can continue outside. And the more we talk, the more I want to talk.
Yeah. No, I feel that. All right,
dude.
Yeah.
Well, I'll catch you soon. We'll talk soon.
See you soon. Good seeing you again, man. And thanks everybody for watching. We'll I guess this is our thing now, so there we go. We'll see you guys next time.